get the music, which is okay, okay, okay. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Saturday Night Live. We have Marie with us tonight. We have Angie B tonight. Um, and we have other people hopefully coming on a little bit later. This is the end of May, the last Saturday of May. We said that we would come on to talk about Mental Health Awareness Month. So, Marie and Angie, feel free to dive in. Let's just talk about, let's just pretend we're on our uh, front porch just talking. And for those, please share this out. You can also support me by sending stars, because you know I'm trying to get this thing together. And I am going to invite people by sending the link to YouTube and Facebook. Feel free to grab the link and come on in, so that you can see. Oh, okay. And then let me see. I'm going to share this out, and everybody feel free to come on. So what do you think? Let's talk about last week, shall we? What did you guys like about last week, now that we are coming to the end? I just feel like we can continue to talk about mental health awareness, because so many people are suffering. So many people need to let go and let God. So many people need to vent or just feel like they're in a safe space to talk. What do you think?
Yeah, I'll differ to Angela on last week, since I only got the last 15 minutes of it. However, as a registered nurse and sexual assault recovery coach, most of the people who I see have been affected by mental health issues, not being able to adequately balance mental health with the other areas of their life. And people don't realize that if your mental health isn't right, no other area of your life will be fine, because you won't be able to make the appropriate choices, whether it be relationships, health, or even your work and family. It's going to show up negatively in that area. So I always stress to take care of yourself, show up for yourself 100% before you try to help everybody else. Because if you're not helping yourself, you're not going to be effective with any other areas of your life. I wish someone had told me that many, many, many years ago, especially before I became a nurse, because I gave. We do those 12-hour shifts, and we come home. Sometimes it's more than 12-hour shifts, because especially in the emergency room, it is so busy. And it's 7 a.m., because I did the night shift. It's 7 a.m. And you're like, oh my gosh, I got to stabilize this patient, or we may get trauma at the end of the morning, and it's multi casualty, and they need all hands on deck. I remember one day I was heading to the clock, and then there came the call, and we had to just turn around, and it was like 11 a.m. from being there from the 7 p.m. shift the day before. So, you got to take care of yourself, learn how to prepare for work. I have routines that I did when I was working at the bedside, and routines that I did after work to decompress. So taking care of your mental health, de-stressing, connecting with friends and families, setting boundaries, that's very important, making sure you're eating right, moving your body. So those are some of the tips I have for you today. Out. Okay.
Yes, I totally agree.
Yes. Go ahead, Angie. I see Mark as well. Hello. I see you. Oh, let me pull him on. This is a person I've been following for a while. Um, and, you know, I'm going to bring him on the stage. Hi, Mark,
Hi.
correct?
Yes, that's me.
Correct.
Hi. I appreciate you coming on. Welcome to Simply Jewel Saturday Night Live. I am Jewel. To my left there is Angie B, and beside you is Nurse Marie. She is a sexual assault or rape kit specialist coach. And we were just coming together. Hopefully there'll be a few more coming on, talking about different things as far as mental health awareness is concerned. So, following you and seeing your live last week, I believe, I liked what you said. I liked the fact that you said how it helps you being clinically diagnosed. So, will you welcome to the podcast? Will you introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit about you and what you think about um, just helping people who are struggling and need to move forward?
Well, thank you for that intro. And hi, everyone. And thank you for inviting me on here. First of all, I appreciate that. And I appreciate the topic itself, the mental health topic, and the fact that you saw my live and invited me here from that. Just to give a little bit of a background summary of the work that I do and how I got into it. I had my own mental health challenges all my life, but I didn't get a formal diagnosis until about 2011 when I was diagnosed with panic disorder, general anxiety disorder, and clinical depression. So I had these things going on previously, but we didn't talk about psychological issues in my household with an African and Caribbean background. So for years, I was just internalizing things until it just got to a boiling point, and then I couldn't manage anymore. So after I eventually got into therapy and learned what was going on with me and learned more about myself, I became a peer counselor, and I did that for a number of years. I still kind of do some of that work on my own, but currently I work in the field of social work.
Very nice. Thank you so much. So I noticed when you were walking and talking to your viewers, you were telling them how it helped you, and um, if there's anyone out there who is trying to make a decision about getting help, um, what would you say? Because, like you said, you've never um, talked about it much in your household. So, what made you decide to find the help? Because you're doing great. I see you're doing great, and I see you exercising, and I even saw that one post that said that you work hard so you can rest or something to that nature. What do you? Yeah, I commend you, and um, if you would like to say anything else about
Yeah.
helping someone.
Yeah, sure. To tell you the truth, for me, it wasn't really much of a decision. I was avoiding getting a formal diagnosis, and even after I got one, I would not go to the therapist. I think I went once or twice, but then I was like, no, there's nothing really wrong with me, and I'm
Wow.
going to figure this thing out by myself. So then I started to get these really terrible panic attacks every day. I started to get, I developed agoraphobia. And for those who don't know what that is, it was this fear of leaving my house. And it got so bad to the point where I said, this is not really living. So I hit a rock bottom with it. And that's the reason why I eventually, at that rock bottom point, sought help. So I wish that I had sought the help earlier, because it would have been a lesser problem and it would have been something that I got through easier. I believe things happen in their own order for their own reason, though. So for me, it had to happen in that order. I had to learn the hard way and say that there's nothing wrong with me and avoid talking to somebody who has a clinical background that could help me and diagnose me and everything like that. But I would say to somebody who's out there right now, if you're struggling, the world that we live in now, there's so many mental health resources. Even the time period that I'm talking about in 2013, there was much more stigma going on back then. If you like, now it's a common thing for people in conversations to be like, oh, I've been working on myself, I've been talking to my therapist about this and working on this with my therapist. And you're not like, wow, this person sees a therapist, they're nuts, because that's how it used to be. So there's many different resources out there. So you don't have to suffer in silence, because even though it didn't look like I was suffering internally. And eventually you reach a boiling point when you don't have outlets and ways to let it out and people to help you understand what's going on with you. So that's what I would just encourage someone to do. Don't wait until it keeps getting worse and worse and you keep getting into a darker and darker place. Start right where you are. And then once you begin to understand yourself, you'll begin to start to learn about the process of getting yourself back to this wellness point.
I have a question for you, Mark.
Nice, thank you.
I have a question for you, Mark. I know someone, it's a family member that has that where she's scared to leave the house.
Agoraphobia.
Agoraphobia. And it's been going on for years. And she does see a counselor. They actually come to her house. But she's lost so much from it. And it just came out the blue. She lost her kids. And my question is, because she's always telling us it's a medical condition because we don't understand it. So, I mean, just out the blue one day this happened. How did it happen for you? I mean, what was it? What was the feeling to be scared to leave the house all of a sudden?
Yeah, so thanks for that question. It's actually, for me, it was a fear of panic attacks in public places. So I started to get panic attacks at work. And I didn't know what it was at that time. And then I was scared for my colleagues, my coworker, my boss, or whoever to see me having these public panic attacks. I was embarrassed about that. So after I wasn't working at that job anymore and now I was at home, I started to get those panic attacks in the grocery store, at the gym, in the car. And then it started to make me feel scared to leave my safe space, which was my house. So I stopped going to the gym. I cut off my gym membership. I stopped going out to these different places that I was experiencing the panic attacks. And then my safe space just kept shrinking and shrinking until now I wasn't leaving my house at all. So that's how it happened for me.
Thank you.
But to get out of that, it was a very difficult process, because now you have to retrain your brain that those places that you now are feeling fearful of being in, there's no reason to fear them.
Right.
So I did something called gradual exposure therapy. I don't know if family member you're talking about is working on that, but it was something that I was so opposed to at first, because it felt like these are not things that you learn. These are just things that happen for you going outside and exploring. So I'm like, the therapist is telling me, oh, now you have to go outside and sit on the porch for 30 seconds and take some deep breaths and then go back inside. That's your assignment for the week. And then next week, you sit outside for a minute and do the same thing. Next week, you walk down to the end of the driveway and you come back. So each time you challenged that fear and stayed within yourself and did your meditation and breathing or whatever, it locks in your memory like, okay, I went out there and nothing happened to me.
Exactly.
And then you start extending back little by little, and I gained it all back after some time.
But it's not easy.
It's not easy. No.
Yeah. Was there ever any underlying cause for your original panic attacks? Anything that was identified?
We did talk within the therapy about, I wouldn't say that there was a specific trauma, but it was just more so as I was growing up, anytime that I had some kind of emotion, I wasn't really encouraged to express that. It was like, I had an African father that was just like, you got to be tough and strong. Don't cry, so I would hold everything inside. I felt a lot of different emotions when I was a kid, but nobody ever saw them because I would experience that in private. So I think carrying that into my adulthood, I didn't know how to express myself. The beginning of when I went into therapy, the therapist would ask me all these questions and I would barely say a word in the session. Oh, how was your week? My week was okay. What have you experienced this week? And I would just say 1 or 2 words. No matter how much they try to prompt things out of me, I just wasn't comfortable with speaking on things. So when I had issues in my life and I had issues in my personal life, my work life, I would hold everything in. And I think that was really a cause for like this internal anxiety that started to manifest itself as these panic attacks.
Mm-hmm. That's because as someone who deals with coaching sexual assault survivors, that's a lot of what I see, especially children who, if they were abused as children and did not get help, was not believed, didn't talk, just muted for a long time until they're in adulthood, then they'll be fine for years. And then all of a sudden the post-traumatic stress syndrome, the panic attacks, the anxiety, leaving home or when they're in certain places. So yes, not when you haven't developed adequate coping skills as a child growing into adulthood, then sometimes that manifests. Yes, because if the people who are supposed to be teaching you these things when you're children shutting you down, you're not allowed to express yourself. Express yourself, and this is the way you channel that anger, or this is the way you ask that question, and teach you how to do these things instead of just like children should be seen and not heard. I heard that a lot when I was growing up, shut up. Yeah. So don't you see adults talking? Instead of saying, just wait a minute, we'll be with you, or, encourage your children to express themselves. That they grow up in productive, well-adjusted adults, so.
I've heard something that said the way that you are spoken to as a child becomes your internal voice as an adult.
Yes, it can.
It can. And a lot of adults have to kind of unlearn that.
Yes.
And that was the case for me.
Yeah. And I'm glad you're using the word unlearn, because a lot of people say, oh, that's the way I was raised. You can unlearn it. the same way you learned it, you can unlearn it. Yes. So.
Yeah, that's really something. And that's the thing, growing up and a lot of people taking it into adulthood, and they're not realizing the older they get, the worse it gets. And so, especially if it's untreated. And you were mentioning, Marie, about the trauma.
Yeah, some people don't make the connection, though.
I'm sorry.
Some people don't make the connection until therapy or many, many years later when something catastrophic happened. Some people never make the connection.
That's very true.
Yes.
You go into the,
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, like, you go into the therapy, and then the therapist is saying, like, tell me about your childhood and tell me about your upbringing, and I'm like, what does that have to do with my panic attack?
Exactly.
So then I'm just answering the questions because that's what they're asking me, and then all of a sudden something gets uncovered where you're
Exactly.
like, oh my goodness, I didn't even realize that there was any connection between this and this.
Exactly. I spoke with one lady, her grandmother, which was her closest family member, had died. She was like in her 40s when her grandmother died. And then she just lost it, complete breakdown. She had to see a therapist. And she saw the therapist, wanted to find out what's the source of this breakdown. Why did she, almost hit rock bottom? This is a well-adjusted adult, professional woman. What could happen to derail her like this? And talking about her breakdown, and she said, "Oh, and by the way, I was raped as a child." Just like that. By the way, I was raped. And then they started to dig deeper, the unresolved trauma that she never told anyone. This was like the first time she was like given a voice to that. So that was repressed. She hadn't even it's not like she would remembered it. And then, oh, by the way, because the therapist was asking all these questions. So we don't make the connection. A lot of people do not make the connection.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's the thing, and not knowing, eating healthy and exercising. But did you have to, and a lot of people are not wanting to take medication, but some people don't realize it can be temporary. It doesn't have to be for the rest of their life. So what do you say about that, Mark? And
Well, I've had an experience with the medications. I was overly medicated. So I'll start from the beginning of it. I'm trying to figure out the best way to say this.
just say it.
When I first got my diagnosis, I went to my general physician because I thought it was some kind of a physical issue. So I didn't know that your mind could cause you to have physical sensations.
Oh, yes.
So at that time, I think that mental health was just a lot more underground. I mean, I know there were psychologists and psychiatrists and everything for years, but they didn't deal with things the same, and it wasn't as open and big as it is now. So he just said, oh, you're a young man. You just got out of college. You're just dealing with the everyday stresses of life. Here, take this Xanax. So he gave me the Xanax. So when I would have the panic attack, I took the Xanax, and within minutes, the whole panic attack is gone.
Yeah.
I didn't learn anything, but I'm like, wow, this is great. As soon as I feel it, I take this as needed, and it's gone. But then over time, the Xanax started to lose some effectiveness. So it's like, okay, now let me take 2 of these Xanax.
Right.
And then now it's supposed to last for 4 hours. Now it's lasting for 3. So I don't want to feel the next panic attack come on. So I'm going to take it in 3 hours instead of the 4 that it says. And next thing you know, I would not leave my house without that Xanax bottle in my pocket. I had an experience that was also part of me going to the hospital as well, because I couldn't live without these Xanax. And I felt like I was addicted now to the Xanax. So I went in the hospital. They got me on a small regiment of medications in the hospital that seemed to be okay. When I came out of the hospital, the psychiatrist that I saw afterwards put me on everything on this planet at the same time, to the point where I couldn't get out of my bed. It felt like I was just groggy all the time. I was drooling. I had brain fog. It was just, I was so sedated. And I remember telling this specific psychiatrist that this isn't life either.
Right.
And the psychiatrist told me, but remember, when you came to see me, you were having severe anxiety, and you were having severe depression, and you were having severe panic attacks, and now you're reporting that you don't have those things anymore. And I'm like, well, if I'm always sleeping and I'm always half asleep and I'm sedated, Of course, I'm not going to have those things. But now I don't feel happiness. Now I don't feel sadness, anger. I don't feel any kind of emotion. I was just like this flat line. So I'm begging this person, not knowing I could request another provider at that time. Because I see that you do. I saw on your page that it said you do advocacy. I didn't even know what that was. I thought you get this person and you have to stick with this person. So when they weren't listening to me,
No.
I took all the pills and I dumped them in the toilet. I flushed them.
Good.
And then I remember having these withdrawal symptoms that were worse than what I was experiencing before I had the medications. So for about 3 weeks, I was in bed, sweating and heart palpitations and tossing and turning. I couldn't sleep. There was so much going on with me. And now I don't take any. But what I want to say at the end of that is, I'm not saying that nobody needs them. I'm just saying that pay attention to what they're giving you, educate yourself on them. Just because they give them to you and say, here, Boosterone is supposed to help you with this, and Wellbutrin is helping you with this, and this one is helping you with that. When you take it, see how it responds for you, because one person could take this and it works very well, and another person could take this and it doesn't work very well. Because a lot of people in that industry over-medicate. So I just believe in taking as much as is needed. And just like you were saying, Jewel, it could be a temporary thing.
Yes.
It could be something that you need, like, let's say Angelique. Is that your name? I'm sorry.
And Jeanette.
And Jeanette, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Let's say your family member is having so many issues with getting out of the house, and it's so severe that they can't leave the house. In that case, maybe the medications for a temporary amount of time can assist them to be able to not be so symptomatic when they leave. So somebody once told me, a good nurse practitioner that I had once told me that the medications are there to assist you to be able to be present in that situation to do the work. So it's like the medications are doing some work and you're doing some work, and it's a combination.
I wish more providers would investigate root cause before they jump to medication. I was listening to the news of about a couple months ago in Florida, where this physician was, talking about how they're expanding their mental health capacity, and children as young as 2 years old, more and more, are being diagnosed with mental health. And I'm like, are they investigating why is a 2-year-old suffering from mental health? Why is their mental health diagnosis slapped onto a 2-year-old? The brain is not even fully developed. Is there anything going on in the home and school? What are they investigating? Because sometimes these are things that can even be fixed with diet. A lot of people have food allergies that manifest as mental health issues, because it will, if your gut isn't right sometimes too, it affects your brain. There could be other medical diagnoses that it's going on, a brain tumor, things like that. They need to investigate before they slap a diagnosis on and prescribe a pill. Yes, I wish more providers would head in that direction, but they are so trained to diagnose and medicate.
Yes, it's a tough thing with the industry.
Yes.
Most of the people that I know who don't do that are more on the independent side.
Yes,
that have their
the
own
insurance won't pay. Insurance won't pay for that.
Yes.
Yes.
So they're more focused on treating the root cause, like you were saying, versus just, okay, this is for this. Oh, you have this. Here's your diagnosis for this.
Yes.
Boom, boom, boom. Here's all the meds you need.
Yes. And the meds interact with each other and they cause damages to your body, sometimes memory loss, liver problems, especially those statins that they're giving people with high cholesterol now, and most of the times the patient doesn't need it. But the doctor has this protocol. If you're diagnosed with this, you have to take this. And everybody is not the same. You cannot just have one treatment plan and just spread it out across for every patient.
Yeah.
That does not make sense.
That reminds me of someone that
Yeah.
said, you can't say that you know the whole library because you read one book.
Right, exactly.
You have to open up every book and flip
Yes.
through the pages of each of those
Yeah.
books.
Which is not possible. So you don't know everything. Yes. So we have to like take our health in our own hands. Those of us who have the strength and courage to do so, because if we leave it up to the providers, we'll be a little polypharmacy on our own, because we'll have one pill for this, one pill for that, and one to counteract the effect from the other one. So we just got to be vigilant and be aware, do our research and ask questions. When you're at home and you remember something that you need to ask your physician, write it down, keep a list until the next visit so you don't, forget what to ask. And
I appreciate you saying that specific thing, because that's the reason how I got on that many medications. So for an example, I remember this one medication that they gave me vision problems. So I took that medication, and then the next time I went in to see the psychiatrist, I said, I had 20/20 vision, and now I have this blurred vision. He was like, oh, blurred vision can be a side effect of this medication. So I'm going to give you Cogentin. So I took the Cogentin. The Cogentin is like some medication that they give for symptoms.
Yes.
But I'm like, before I took this medication, I didn't have those symptoms.
Exactly.
So you would think that they would be like, oh, maybe we'll stop with this medication.
Exactly.
And maybe try something else. But instead of doing that, it was like, oh no, give it like 3 weeks in your system to make sure that you know whether it works or not, plus take this other one on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm like, this next one is giving me these symptoms. Okay, we got something for that.
Yep.
And then next thing you know, you can become like a victim of the system if you don't know how to speak up and advocate and ask questions.
Right. Or if you can't, you don't have someone who can do that for you, because not everyone can. Yes.
Not everyone can do that. That's true.
Right. Right. So, we have to, and that's why I like having conversations like these, where we can give the word out, because even if it's one person who's going to be helped by listening to us tonight, it's worth it.
And we have to take the stigma out of mental health in our community, because people are scared to say that they need mental health. And a lot of times your own family won't support you going to get mental health. They say, you don't, what, are you crazy? Or you don't need medication. You don't need to, So other communities, they go get mental health. In the Black community, we don't get it like we should get.
Like we should, yes.
Yeah.
And it's right across the board in the United States. It's across nationalities, but, predominant in the Black community. There's stigma. I'm glad to see that people are speaking out more, but we have so much more work to do.
Yeah.
So much more work to do. Because it affects all areas of our life. We're not going to show up at work right. We're not going to show up for our family or kids, for ourselves, most importantly.
Yeah.
So we have to, take care of ourselves, prioritize our own well-being, and support each other.
I was burnt out at one time, and just having terrible thoughts. So I did go see a counselor, and we talked. And what she told me, I had no idea, because sometimes she said I had like a codependent personality. I didn't know that, because I was jumping in. I want to save everybody. I want to help everybody. And she told me, she said, what would happen if you said no? Right. It'll go on. The world will go on, and you would be fine. So just like now, somebody might call me and they might be complaining and whatever. I don't jump in to help. I don't jump in. And sometimes I say no. Sometimes our mental health comes from not being able to say no.
Yes.
And we take on too much, and then we are, in our community, you're selfish for putting you first a lot of times. So we have to know that it's okay to be selfish
Yes.
sometimes for our own mental health, our own well-being. And I always say, just like when you're on an airplane, they tell you put on the oxygen mask for you first, then you can help others. But if you're depleted, then you can't help others, and you're not being the best you that you can be.
Right. You may be dead.
Yeah.
You may be dead.
Yeah.
I love that question. What happens if you say no?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, they say that no is the ultimate form of self-care.
Yes.
Yeah.
You don't have to give a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a full sentence.
Yes.
No, I can relate to you there.
Yeah,
because
that's a good thing.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Jewel.
Oh no, that's what she was saying, wanting to help those. And then a lot of people, if you help them, they don't learn anything, you see, and then you're the one stuck with that feeling like, what am I doing and why? And you're the one with the feeling of grief or sorrow, and they're back to the old habits. So yeah, there's a lot of that going on, and people just are in a place, to me, I think if you're open and honest, you don't mind helping. But when it gets to the point where it becomes redundant and you're constantly helping them get out of their own issues and they're not learning from it, and then the next month is something else, and the next month it becomes exhausting. So
I was thinking of an example of that I had a friend that was actually, they had a chronic illness. So they had a lot of needs, but I'm not their home health attendant. I'm the friend. I work a full-time job, 9 to 5. I have my own life. I have my own things that I have to deal with in my own life. So I would try to do things to help that friend as much as I could. I need a ride here. I need help with this. I need to go to the grocery store, but I don't have a way to get there, and I can't go by myself because of this illness. And I would try, and then I would find that if one time I was like, hey, I'm not able to today, sorry, the guilt trip that I would get for that would be incredible. And I would actually feel really guilty, as if this was my second job or something.
Exactly.
So I remember I actually was speaking to a therapist about this at this particular time. And I'm like, I feel so bad because this friend has so many needs and I can't continuously pull myself to handle all these needs. And it seems like if I do this, then they want this other thing. Then they want this next thing and this next thing. And they told me a similar thing. Like, you can't be everything to everybody. You can offer your support at times, but you have to kind of lay down the ground rules with this person. This is not a permanent thing that I can do for you, or it's not even a thing that you can lock me in. Weekly, I'm going to be taking you here, doing this for you, or doing that. When I can, I will do as much as I can within reason that's not going to overextend myself. And it was hard for me to say something like that to somebody with a chronic illness, but it was necessary.
Because you're compromising your mental health. Your overall well-being was being compromised, because I'm sure there were times when you were tired, you really like to take a break, but you have this commitment that you have locked yourself in and feel guilty if you say no. So boundaries are very important. We have to set boundaries and communicate them effectively so people understand it's not, because this is not about you. This is about me. Right.
Yeah, definitely.
What do you think about it? Is so broad, this tonight it has just flipped, because last week we were talking about something and it literally had to do with health and wellness or mental health and on many different levels. And now this is more, how things just work out the way it's supposed to, because this is good information. Good information. And if anybody comes back on the platform, or please share this out. But Mark, that's a lot of gems and nuggets, and I
Yes, a lot of
know that you
value.
can help somebody just with that information, because you've gone through it for how long now, and now you're on
Yeah.
the other side.
Right.
And you're still working on it. I heard you say that on your platform, but that it takes time.
Yeah.
So that's to be commended. And then let's talk about the eating healthy and the working out. So you are no longer on medication. You're working out. When's the last time you had an episode? A mental, or let's just say a panic attack?
Well, I still experience panic attacks, but I have never experienced one to the severity of the kind that I used to get. Because the kind of panic attacks I used to get and how severe they were is that I would just stop what I was doing and hold my chest and feel like I was just out of oxygen. That's how bad it was. Now I can usually feel when the anxiety is coming on and rising up, and I know what it is. So I have some coping tools that I take with me where I'm like, okay, I feel this stress rising. I mentioned this on my channel. Like, for an example, if I was in the office working and I started to feel like these anxiety symptoms were getting really high, I would find a way to just excuse myself. And then I would maybe go outside or go in the bathroom or somewhere where I could be by myself and just do some breathing techniques. Diaphragm breathing, like 4 seconds in and 8 seconds out. And I'll do that like 5 to 10 times. And that does so much to lower those panic attack symptoms. So I still get them. I've gotten them recently even, but they're not nearly as bad as they used to be. And I know what to do to calm myself down.
Yeah, I can identify with that. I teach that to clients because as a sexual assault survivor, the triggers, well, it's like lifelong. You may not have for 10 years, 20 years, and then one day something happens. So having the tools to combat them so they don't overwhelm you, then that's game changer. You know,
Yeah, it can be a really frustrating thing for somebody who thinks that they're going to therapy for those things to end.
right.
Like, I'm going to learn these tools and use them and then never have to use them again.
It's
So once you commit to the fact that this is a lifelong process, it makes it much easier. And that's what I was talking about in the live that you're talking about, Jewel. I was mentioning that recently I've been going through a depression. And there was a time when if I was going through a depression, I'm like, what did I waste all this time in therapy for?
Mhm.
How can I get depressed again? I mean, because I'm here in the world. There's so many things going on. Life is peaks and valleys and ups and downs.
Yes.
And I might be better off than somebody who never took the time to learn their triggers or never learned their toolkit. Like, what if somebody, like what you were talking about, had some past trauma that they never realized was impacting them. And then one day they're 50 something. And then all of a sudden it just hits them then. And they don't know what it is, how it got there, or anything about how they can cope with this or get back out of that. So for me, when I experience things, I can actually say, it feels relieving actually to be able to say, I'm not my best self right now.
Exactly. But you have tools to pull on
Yes.
to get you to the place where you can minimize the effects and go on with your day.
And you're like, I've done this before and I can do it again.
Exactly. And that's what people need to understand, that it's not all or nothing. You know, this is something that's may crop up in your life, maybe not on a day-to-day basis or week to week or month to month, maybe several years you're fine. And then one day, but learning the tools that you can use to minimize the effects, keep it at bay, then that's powerful. Empower yourself by getting support, learning what your triggers are, how do they affect you, and what you can do about them.
Yeah.
That's powerful. Keep a journal.
Yeah.
I encourage keeping a journal. The frequency, do they happen at certain times or when you're around certain people or certain places, and track them.
I don't know if you've ever heard of this thing, but I purchased this book before, and it's called the Panic Attack Workbook. And it asks you those exact type of prompt questions. So it's like a workbook that it will give you some certain tools, but then it also has parts of the book where you write down, you write when you're having the panic attack.
Right.
And I didn't even realize it was going to do this. But when I had the panic attack and I had to think about my triggers and write it, that was slowing down the panic attack by itself.
Exactly. Because you have to stop and think, right?
It's like, what's causing this? How do I feel? What is my emotions in this moment? And while I'm thinking, my breathing is slowing down. And I'm like, oh, it stopped faster.
Exactly.
And then I can reference this and look, Monday was like this. The one that happened on Wednesday was like this. This is what I was thinking about before it happened. Right. And then you can start to kind of pre-identify those things.
Right.
And access those tools faster and more effectively.
Exactly. Powerful. Be empowered to take your life in your hands, Yeah. Because becoming overwhelmed and losing it, especially if you're in public, because it can happen anywhere, as you have experienced, and not knowing what to do, what is causing it, that can be more traumatizing than what started in the first place. So
yeah, you can get into this fear loop where at first you get the panic attack randomly, you don't know what caused it, but then you're scared of the next one. So it's I consider anxiety almost like the overthinking disorder. That's what I call it, like the overthinking disease. So you got the panic attack and you're scared of those symptoms and you're thinking all day, I hope I don't have another one. I hope I don't have another one. And then you think your way into the next one.
Yes.
That's really good. That's just amazing to me. I'm just really glad to see, not just from a female perspective, but a male perspective on what it was like in the experience and the traumatic experience. And you're in New York, correct?
New York, yes.
Yeah. So do you have a lot of racial profiling, exclusion going on? Do you see a lot of men getting help in your community?
No.
There's
it's not too many.
Is it because they're not seeking help or the help is not there?
The help is there. It's because they're not seeking the help.
See, that's why we need to keep raising awareness.
Yes. There's so many different people and different tools and support groups and things that exist within my community, but it's usually 80-90% women that access them.
Not the men. Wow.
Yeah, and I think what is it? Because a lot of people don't realize the difference, especially the men, that I forget the statistics and studies are showing. And I posted something earlier this week that ADHD is on the rise again. And a lot of people, parents didn't believe it. They thought kids were being misdiagnosed. And now they're finding more males have ADHD than females. I think I posted that too, the percentage. So because of the stigma, I think especially in the Black community, we're going to have to do more of these sessions or talks and get people to see what does it feel like, because they're saying, "Oh, you're not a doctor." No, but if you know a loved one is not acting the same, but everybody else is saying certain, "Oh, they're crazy," or "They're this," or "They're that." What position are loved ones and families going to step up and say, "Okay, this is different," and how do we help facilitate? How do we navigate? How do we get our loved ones some help? And see, and then to listen to you, Mark, say that you were starting to recognize, and a lot of, is it pride? What is it that's keeping people from getting the help that they need? And the
Well,
food that we eat doesn't help either, you
so
know.
my answer to that, as
And
a man
Angie,
who was
I
not,
see Angie making.
yeah.
Go
No,
ahead.
I just wanted to quickly answer that question
Is there
because,
a lag for me?
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know what that is, but I'm going to be working on that. So I'll let you guys keep going because I can hear you. But
Okay.
we
Mark is
just, I
answering.
don't know. Yes. Oh, there she is. All
Okay.
right. God bless you, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Cecelia. Yes, thank you. If you want to grab the link, I put it on YouTube and also on Facebook. Okay, go ahead, Mark. And you were
Yes.
saying?
So I was saying, you asked the question of what makes men not seek those services. I know that in the household that I grew up in, I didn't know any emotion that my dad had other than anger.
Mhm.
That's how he showed everything: love, sadness, whatever it was. It was just anger, anger, anger. And I know he loved me, but I know that in his household that he grew up in, that's what it was like. The man was just supposed to be tough and strong, and it's for the women to cry, and it's for the women to talk about their problems, and it's for the mothers to be the nurturers and talk to their kids, where the father just goes home, goes out, um, gets the money and provides and brings it back, and you don't really talk about anything. So for me, that's what it was. That was, like we were talking about earlier, that was ingrained in me becoming an adult. Like, I'm a man, so I'm supposed to be strong. I'm supposed to be tough. And I'm supposed to just take whatever comes my way and just keep going and keep pushing, because that's what men do. And that's what I felt for so long. So part of it is a pride thing. I know that I felt too proud to go see a therapist. And even when I saw the therapist, I was sitting in that therapist's office, arms folded. Like, I don't really want to be here. I'm just here because I'm being told that this is a mental problem, but I'm still convinced that it's a physical problem, to the point where I went to the ER about 30 times in 1 year, and they tested everything. They would do the chest x-ray, they tested my heart, they did the echocardiogram, I did the thing when you walk on the treadmill, and they test everything. They did endoscopy, colonoscopy, any test that I was able to get.
CT
to
of the brain.
Yeah, I got CT of the brain. I think I got an MRI of the brain also. I got everything. I got the full workup. And when everything came out negative, they were like, it's a mental health issue. And I was like, no, it's not. You haven't found something. My mom just retired as a nurse. So at one time I was looking up symptoms. I used to say this joke that I was an MD on WebMD. Because you know how now you could just type in your symptoms on Google
Oh,
and it'll tell
yes.
you anything. And I remember this one day I went to my mom and I said, I know what I have now. I have MS, multiple sclerosis. And my mom was like, no, you don't. But I had typed in this symptom, this pain that I'm having in my chest,
Wow.
this thing, somatic symptoms, as I learned that they are. And I typed them all in, and that was one of the possible diseases that came up, multiple sclerosis. So I was convinced that it was something else. The only way that I got out of it, there was this amazing doctor when I went to the psych ward. And what the doctor did was they found a different way of speaking to me, because that was what took my guard down. So the doctor was like, "You seem like a really smart guy." So she was like, "Can you please write down all your symptoms on this piece of paper?" So I'm writing it down: migraines, chest pain, weight loss, acid reflux, dizziness, like so many different things to show this doctor, and thinking that this doctor will find this medical thing that's physically wrong with me that all these other doctors couldn't find and all these other tests couldn't show. So she had this book that showed different mental health diagnoses and the symptoms. So she said, "Oh, can you do me a favor? Flip open to general anxiety disorder on page whatever it was." So she said, "Take your list and then look at everything on that list." So I was looking at my list and I was looking at that list. Everything that was on my list was on that list.
Wow.
And she said, "You have been thoroughly tested by many different medical professionals. So we can be sure that you don't have this thing, this thing, this thing, and this thing, and this thing. But somebody with a general anxiety disorder can experience all of these symptoms because of how high their anxiety is and the cortisol that is being released into their body." And she was explaining to me about the what's it called, fight or flight, where your fight or flight is triggered all day, even in absence of danger, like how it used to be something to protect us from the outside, animals and stuff like that, hunting, and now it just becomes something that is triggered in your mind. So when she was able to speak to me in that kind of way and tell me, your symptoms are valid, everything you're experiencing, I know that it's very scary, and I know that when you feel these pains and you get these heart palpitations and you get this acid reflux and these migraines, it's hard. Like your experience is very difficult. But she was like, when you reduce the anxiety and start putting in the work on yourself to do that, all of these other things, you're going to find that they're going to lessen and lessen and lessen. And then eventually you won't have those anymore. And just hearing that from somebody took the anxiety that I was experiencing in that moment from like a 10 to a 6 or a 5.
Yeah.
Because just having someone validate me instead of saying, "Oh, it's all in your head."
Right.
So that's what took my bravado away, getting to that point. And like I said, I wish that I had done it sooner. And I love getting the opportunity to talk to men about that specifically.
Yeah, I would love, Mark. I really appreciate you, and I hope you come on again. I want to introduce you to one more person, Dr. CeCe, from Miss CeCe's Kitchen on Facebook. And then before you go, let them know where they can find you as well. I know I was trying to tell everybody when you text me you were coming on, so you're going to have some new followers as well if you haven't seen it already. And want to welcome Dr. C to the platform. I don't know if you've heard anything about Mark speaking or not, but welcome to the platform. How are you doing? Stand by, Mark. Don't go anywhere. We're just going to keep chopping it up and see how we can continue. We only have, well, we can go a little bit longer. We were going to do about an hour and a half, but feel free to hang out and let's see. Dr. C, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Oh, I tell you, these allergies are
Yes.
really messing with a girl, but it's all good. And I was listening. I was doing some other things as well in ministry, but I was listening to the gentleman talking, and I believe it has to do with some condition that they stress that he has. And I don't want to say too much because I don't know all the ramifications of it. And I don't claim to be a medical doctor at all, but in my meditation early this morning, I would share with you a lot of the things that we are facing in life, and you can dispute with me, and that's okay. Oh, first, let me say hello, everybody.
Hello.
Let me back up. And I know you don't know me, but I've been doing what I've been doing for many years with mental health diagnoses and drug and substance abuse and things like that, what people turn to in their dilemmas. However, we have a bigger problem, folks, in this time that we live in. I was just reading something today regarding what has been planned for our lives and what the ramifications have been shown thus far. And it is an alternative way of, not way of living, but what has been given to us alternatively as far as food, as far as our well being, and what have you, and what's causing a lot of our mental health issues. And it has to do with a lot of what's going on in society. I read something today, and it's really profound to me how a lot of times when you dress your issues, like this gentleman is talking about, and when you dress your status of life and what you're dealing with, a lot of times people want to make you think you're crazy, and that is not the case. Um, Doctors are paid, and I stand on it, and a doctor can give me a call, a medical doctor. They're paid to keep us ill. They're paid to put us on medications to make us sicker so that they can give you other things to combat that thing that you went there originally, but it makes you worse. So I don't hear all of what the gentleman was saying, but I'm of this persuasion in this time. Hi, Marie. How are you, darling?
I'm great. Thanks. How are you?
I'm of this persuasion that we have to be more cautious of ourselves because nobody else is. Because the way society is dictating things today, we have some sick folks who are dictating a lot of things to us and making our outcome very negative, if I can say that. But when you find out what they're doing, they want to make you appear to be crazy,
Mhm.
as I first stated, to folks in your family, to your surroundings. And when you start opening up what they're actually doing to you, they don't want to hear your voice. They don't want you to share anything. So I'm going to end it at that statement. I'm very concerned at the quality of life that our government is issuing to us. And I may be getting a little far fetched, but just the way society is dictated to us and how they feel that we should react to incidences and medical issues in our life. And I'm done.
Thank you, Dr. C.
I could talk. Marie knows I could talk, but you can find Miss Cece's Kitchen on Thursdays. I think Jill asked me to give you that information on Thursday. And it's a God given. I call it a ministry, but I'm very controversial. I
Well,
deal with.
yeah, oh,
Excuse me.
sorry.
No, no, go ahead. You're
No, I
gonna
was
ask
gonna
me.
say, well, if you listen to the first maybe half an hour of this, we
Uh
were
huh.
saying things that were very similar to what you just said right there.
Wow.
Um,
Okay.
and I
Wow.
actually talked about in my experience getting very heavily medicated
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
to the point where I was just completely sedated.
Got you.
The doctor who prescribed me those medications telling me that I was basically treated, I was cured with that medication regimen. And I was like, no, I'm falling asleep. I'm drowsy. I feel nothing. I feel no emotions. And then,
Mm-hmm.
learning on my own the hard way by just dumping the meds by myself and experiencing terrible withdrawal symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
I learned about advocacy within the health system, within the healthcare system.
Mm-hmm. Mhm. Well, I want to say something. I did not listen to the first half hour, so uh, we're on point here,
Yes.
regardless of what I'm hearing. But
Synergy.
people are paid to keep you sick, period. And I had a doctor that, when you get your body under control, your A1C, you still telling them you're not going to take the meds that they give you, which are making you feel worse and causing other areas in your body to almost shut down. I told this individual it's a mindset, which you have to change your eating habits, your quality of living, getting rest, and what have you. And I think I heard Marie said something a little bit about that, but when I went back, I dropped my weight. Now I don't gain weight. Now don't get me wrong, because I
Mhm.
love to cook. Now it is what it is. Okay, but that's my fault. I can't blame anybody for that. So guess what? I have to change my mind. We talk about mental health, but I was just thinking on today, Jill, that it's a spiritual thing that we have to get work in our mind and changing the way the mind operates, because the foods that we eat are made to get us addicted to them. Thus, it causes mental health issues and bodily issues. I had to tell my doctor and piggyback on this. My doctor, I told her when my A1C was down, I walking in there looking good. I'm gonna make you laugh. I know I'm cute. Okay, I'm just saying. All right. Anyway, yo, that's the affirmation I put in. Nobody else tell me that. I'll tell myself.
Amen.
Okay. And so anyway, I went in the doctor's office and she looked at me and my A1C was down and she got mad because I am taking control of myself.
Hmm.
And she got very angry with me. And she says, "Are you taking your medicines?" I said, "No, I dumped them. I don't need them," like that. She goes, "Well, I'm paid to give you these medications." I said, "So you're paid to keep me sick. Okay, is what you're doing. All you're interested in, you and the pharmaceuticals, as 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 well as the funeral homes, are all in cohesive together because it's a money making deal here. You all are in the same circle, and so really, you really don't care about the benefactors of my life and the quality of my life. Your greed is money." And so she got angry with me and told me, "I'm going to send you to another doctor." I said, "Well, he or she is going to get the same thing." Once I've learned that I have the control of the quality of my own life, and I'm going to you based on traditional, based on laws, based on mandates. And so began to say, "Well, I'm going to test you for neuropathy." So you can test me for whatever you want to. I'm not giving you no more blood. It is what it is. That's my choice. My thing is this, and she says that you don't come in her declaration. She says, "You don't come in like the other older people. They have heart attacks, they have heart issues." I said, "You will not speak that into my spirit." I said, "Because life and death is in the tongue, and you will not tell me these things that others are walking in." She got even angrier with me. We have to understand a lot of these things are spiritual that we're going through, and
Mhm.
people will talk a curse over you. And if you're weak, you will accept what they say. And so I'm under this persuasion that whatever, now I'm not getting everybody wrong because we do have some good physicians that care for us. In fact, I had a gentleman that he was working as a nurse practitioner, and he says, "You have a right to deem what goes in your body. You
Yep.
don't allow anybody to tell you what you should take." And I heard the young man said it almost kept him mummified. I'm just going to use that terminology. It kept him mummified to the point where he slept all the time. Okay. And it was to keep him in that condition. What quality of life is that? What quality of life is that? I'm of myself. I don't like being out of control. They tried to give me depression medication. I went through, several people of my family dying, so I had a breakdown somewhat. They tried to give me anxiety medication and depression medication. I am a young lady who don't like losing control of herself, and medications will cause that where you're not really yourself at all. You have become something that's in that bottle that causes you to sleep, that causes you to be nullified of your surroundings. So the doctor told me, and I'm going to end with this. The gentleman told me, and he was a Christian doctor, and he told me, he says, "You have a right to put whatever you want in your body. You don't allow anybody to dictate to you. I don't care, doctor, priest, mama, daddy, whoever. You don't allow anybody to tell you what you need to put in your body, especially if it makes you feel uncomfortable and out of your authentic self. And that's my take on it.
I want to say I'm one too that don't take medication. I don't believe in. For me, I don't do medication. But I wanted to bring up that topic, um, spiritual,
Yes.
spiritual and belief and faith.
Mm-hmm.
So it's according to you, according to your faith.
Of course.
So some people do not get mental health because it's kind of a stigma when you
Yes.
are saved in church, religion.
Yes.
But it's not for everyone,
True.
because God does give us doctors and
Agreed.
mental
Agreed.
health professionals and all of that. So if you need it, I say, okay, take it. It's
Right.
according to your faith. You
Of
know,
course.
one may believe that whatever I ask in Jesus' name, I have,
Yes.
you
Got
know,
it.
but the other may not fully have that belief. And if you don't take the medication,
Agreed.
but yeah, I'm with you. I believe doctors are to here to make money. So they give you this medication to counteract something else, but then you need another medication to take care of what that medication is messing up.
Mm-hmm.
So if we could eat healthier, um, exercise, um, because I'm one, I fast, I detox. I'm always doing a detox or doing something to stay healthy. And when I go to the doctor, I'm advocating for myself because I'm not
Mm-hmm.
going to take your word for it because you're not the maker of this body. You know some things that you learn by the books of school, but there's things that you don't know. So we can work together for me to be in optimal health.
Gotcha. I would like to, and Jewel, I forgot to give all of the information to come over to Miss Cece's kitchen, and I want you to come over and join us. In fact, just come on and sit down on the panel and let's talk because we're very controversial and we deal with real issues, regardless of what they look like. Everybody has a voice and an opinion, and I agree with you, young lady, that it's the level of your faith. I get it, I get it, but don't be
Yes.
so confident in flesh that you forget about what God can do. And,
Yeah.
and I'll leave it like that. And I totally agree with you on your statement. It is the level of faith. But come on over to Miss Cece's kitchen. We're on Thursday nights at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 6 Mountain, and 8 Eastern Standard Time. And you can find us. Come on over to, you can type in the browser Miss Cece's kitchen on
Just
Facebook.
CC.
Yeah, just CeCe, the
Okay.
hyphen S, Miss Cece's kitchen, and then you will find us on there, or just type in Dr. Cecilia's no Cecelia Sims Doctor. You will find it. They wouldn't let me put my credentials. Facebook does that
Okay.
in the forefront. But come on over. We have a great time, Jewel. I want to invite you too, girl. Okay, this is
I
my
was
second
on
time.
I was on there and you didn't get to check your I
I
did the replay.
didn't. Yeah, I
Yeah,
did.
I watched
And
the replay and honey, I wrote down the two books that the ladies were talking
yes,
about.
yes,
Um I did the replay, the whole thing, and they named two books, but that
yes,
conversation was very good. And
yes,
I'm
yes,
have to I sure hope we can all get together. I don't know
yeah.
if everybody is available next week, but I really wanted to hit on the topics that you spoke about um, for Thursday because it really intertwines with mental health as well.
Hmm.
But now that Mental Health Awareness Month is over, I still would like for us to come together. I don't. like last week's conversation that we had, your Thursday live that you had, and tonight just seemed like it all would have came together. But for some
Mm-hmm.
reason, I am delayed. I'm going to have to figure that out. But I'm hoping we all can get together again. Text me, let me know when you're available. If not, if you're not available next week. But I really would like for us to act like we're sitting on our back porch and just chopping it up. Because I just really enjoyed Thursday night and really hope that we can talk about it on a more intimate, level. Just like you say, you don't what is that word you say? You just tell it like it is. You don't sugarcoat anything. And
Controversial,
that's
and yeah, we just talk about it.
yeah,
And I want
yeah,
people to be. Marie was on my show, and I want you to be free in expressing, because my thing is this: they've taken our voice long enough. It is time for us to speak up, and it gives us power when we unify with each other as far as addressing these issues, because we've been shut down. But guess what? When you are awake, guess what? You cannot make a giant go back to sleep.
yeah. It's so much that we can intertwine. So if you guys don't mind, let me know your availability. If you are available next Saturday, same time, same station, we can go a little bit deeper because it's all about emotional, the whole body getting in alignment. Emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, that is something that we definitely need to talk about. So if you let me know what your schedule is like. And then I wanted to end tonight by saying thank you all for coming on. Um, Dr. D hopefully will be back next week, and that would be a very nice conversation for us to have, and especially getting the male's point of view and how it is. We talked about that earlier, pride, etc., etc. But listen, everybody, I I'm at the point we were saying 50% of the population is struggling.
Mhm.
But I'm noticing there's just so much, and to unpack it and to visit your platform and this platform and go back and forth. That's what I'm hoping for. Uh, and lastly, for me, in closing, I am convinced. I watched Pastor Dwight Buckner. I don't know if you guys have caught on to him, but he was saying, we are representing a whole new era, and people like us, um, we are breaking protocol. And and I believe that because there's so much going on in the world today. Like you said on Thursday, I've been saying, you know, we're not worried about what's trending. We're worried about how to help people and loved ones. Like Angie was saying earlier, we can't help everyone, but there's people that have an ear to hear. And those are the people that I'd like to align with so that we know that we can support one another and keep hope alive and know that God is in control. But a lot of
Mhm.
people need to have a platform to vent or to talk or to come in alignment with people that have like minds. And I'm starting to see that come to fruition. So I was trying to wait for Mark to come back on so he can give his handle. He is on YouTube. I'm gonna let him know too. I was watching him. I thought I was on my business page, but my personal page was following him and he pops up. But I am gonna switch him over to my business page and share everybody's platforms out. But yeah, Dr. C, I really enjoyed Thursday night. So
Thank you.
hopefully you can come back on next week and everything is okay with you. Hopefully Dr. D can come back on, and same thing, Angie. We happy belated now, but happy birthday to
Thank
you.
you.
I can't wait for you to get in touch with me on Wednesday and let me know what you think. And Angie also has a YouTube. Go ahead, Angie, and uh, say it one more time, your platforms on Facebook and YouTube.
My YouTube is Anjanette's underscore world. And then on Instagram, it's Angie, ANGIEBEE 522.blog.
Yes, I was gonna put that in there. And it's Anjanette's world, right?
Uh-huh. So what is Mark's YouTube? Because I couldn't find it.
It's at the music.
Music
Oh, there he is,
and
Mark. Can
yes,
you
it's
go ahead and put it in the chat, and I'll put you and Angie's handles on, so when people go to replay, they can see the
Oh,
handle. Can you put it in the chat for me, and I'll add it uh, on the screen?
okay.
Because I know if I go to or you can put it in the private chat or on the comments, and then I will add it on the screen before we vacate. Um, yeah, okay, so here we go. And Dr. C, if you can add yours as well, I'll
I
put it
just
on
did. I
this.
just added my Jill. I'm sorry for cutting you off, but I just added. I'm getting ready to add my YouTube space as well as. Oh, yeah, there it is. And so
Okay.
I'll go ahead and add it right now. And also, I just did Miss CeCe's kitchen, which is my site, actually my main profile. But add a number 70 at the end of Doctor. I failed to put that. The first one that I said my link is facebook.com, Cecelia.sims, but add a numeric 70 behind that.
Okay, that's Mark's, Angie.
I
okay.
got it.
I
Great.
put that on the screen. Yeah, youtube.com/ at symbol music and mental health. And Mark, I was just saying I'm gonna switch. Well, I'm gonna switch it to my Simply Jewel TV because I was getting your.
Oh,
I
sorry.
think I started following him on Facebook, and then I started subscribing to people. But I think one day my YouTube was on my personal page, and that's how that happened. But I apologize. But let's see. Okay. And then Angie, this is her platform. And I'll add it to the comments section. And I'm sure it's an easier way to do this, but as we exit out, we'll be able to connect with one another and support one another. Okay. And then And Dr. C, she said it was CeCe. It was Miss CeCe's kitchen. Correct?
Yes, Miss Cece's Kitchen when you type it on the browser. And all you have to do is go to Facebook and type it on the browser, and it would lead you right into a group or on my main page as well.
Yeah. Is that oh, I messed that up, didn't I? Good grief. I'm sorry. Where my glasses go? That's the problem, y'all. Okay, put my glasses on. Yes. And I really appreciate you guys. And we'll say good night. Sorry. I'm trying to
And
go
I'll
back.
be on a little bit earlier. I apologize to everybody. I don't know what's going on with this technology, but I was having a fit getting on here as well. So, yeah.
Oh, that's okay. I know stuff happens. Okay, did I get that right?
Let's see.
Oh my goodness, I'm having a
Yeah, just that's the browser handle. So I gave them the actual to get on my site, which is where is it?
okay.
Facebook .com/ Cecelia .SimsDoctor and the numeric 70 right after doctor. I'm sorry, I put that on.
Okay. And I want to thank Mark for coming on and gracing our stage tonight. Oh, and Angie. Okay. Uh-oh. On Instagram. Thank Angie for coming on and supporting. And she's a breath of fresh air because she's like old money. You never know when Angie's gonna pop up, but I really appreciate her.
Thanks.
Yeah, I really appreciate her, and that's Angie's handle on Instagram as well. Because, like I say, it's all about helping one another. My platform, um, I don't have a problem with people coming on as long as we can engage and talk and be open and honest because we are in some changing times and people need to definitely come together. I know everybody's trying to be great and I don't have a problem with that. Everybody's got their own thing going on. But at what point do we come together on one platform and talk about different things and let people see us all collaborating and then follow your pages? It's that's simple for me. So that's why I don't have a problem. Uh, uh, Also for let me pull the brand up because everybody is on the platform. So we have CeCe's Miss CeCe's Kitchen. Go back and watch the replay. Also, share this out because hopefully we'll be doing this again. You got Marie who has her book. Make sure you guys support things that keep me up at night. Marie McKenzie. Listen, we all have to come together. And I don't know, I'm going to keep saying it and keep saying it until we all get it. That's what I'd like to say, until we all get it. That's my goal. So yeah, let's see. I'm just excited and glad to see people come, even if it is for a short time. You know, that's my thing. There it is, her link on YouTube. Oh, I was looking for your link too. So at Dr. Cecelia, is that suppose IMS 3541, and www.facebook.com/Cecelia.simsDoctor70. And I'm glad you put it up there like that, because I was following, and I'll make sure that's the correct one that I'm following as well. And as you guys already know, simplyjewel.com for me will take you to all my platforms. And you can also follow me on linktr.ee/simplyjewel. And it will take you to all my platforms as well. But I appreciate you guys. Thank you for coming on. Is there anything you all would like to say before we say goodnight?
Have a great rest of the weekend, guys.
You too.
Thank you.
God bless.
Thank you.
Have a great night, everyone.
God bless
too.
you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Bye. Thank
Enjoy
you.
your holiday. And I'll be at home playing around. I'm going to be on these social platforms doing a whole lot. I'm probably going to be on here commenting, because I have the time this weekend. And thank you, Marie, for coming on and supporting. Thank Angie again for coming on. Did I get everybody's? Angie's, here's her YouTube as well. So I'm just trying to put it all on there. Like I say, don't have a problem supporting pages. And I think Dr. C said that yesterday, put your information up so we can support one another and collaborate, come together at least, once a month, or every Saturday for an hour. It's an hour and 31 minutes. That's Angie, who was on, who is now gone. Thank Angie for coming on. And Jeanette's World. So if you guys go back and replay this, you can get everybody's handle. Again, here is Dr. C's handle. Marie, I have her banner, so we'll put her banner up here. That was her ticker. I'll put it underneath there. You can get your free gift with Marie, Coach Marie, and her book. Like I say, if you have time to watch this, or I'll try and split it up and give us a promotional section. But that's what I'm trying to say. And then again, that's pretty much what I have at this point. Anything else, Dr. C? Thanks for ending, coming and bringing up the rear.
You know what? I thank God for being here, but you know what? I'm going to go head on, and everybody is gone, but I appreciate your platform. I've been bragging on you, so I'm a promoter as well. And so I promote everybody that God brings into my path. And so you can look forward to that on Thursdays. I'll give you another shout out, and that's what I do. And because I realize when we do that for each other, guess what? Like you said, we're not trying to get rich here. We're not trying to get famous. We're just trying to get the word out so that people can understand what's really going on and how much we
just
have.
trying to support.
Yeah. So
Yes.
you
And
have a
I
great
went
weekend.
on. You've got a lot of comments that I put on your Thursday
Okay, I got to
night.
go back and look at
So
them.
and so we will definitely do that again. And I just want to thank everybody for being supportive. This is the end of the Mental Health Awareness Month, but we're going to be doing more porch talks. So that's what I'll probably call the next series, if you will. Just simply porch talk, because people need to open up, and if they don't want to, that's fine, but we do have patreon.com/simplyjewel. That's where the private stuff starts. But until next time, peace and blessings. Feel better, everyone. Eat healthy. If you need to get in touch with someone, make sure that you text me or call me. It's that simple. But don't be in silence, suffering in silence. Special thanks to Mark with music and what was that? It was music and mental health. I will put his information back up there as we go out. But yeah, very nice, everybody. Thank you so much. Feel free. I think you'll catch him on if you replay as well. He did put his information up there as well. Okay, I'm gonna serenade everyone on the way out. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend. And that's it, everybody. Thanks for watching. Okay. Bye-bye.